A four-time All-Star, one-time All-NBA third-team member, and the Hornets leader in pretty much every major category. And at one point in his career, there was a legit argument between him and Kyrie Irving. There's a reason he is in this graphic here with all these NBA superstars, was an all-star starter back in 2019 and was putting up performances like this left and right. And then just 4 short years later, he was out of the league. How good really was Kemba Walker? As my favorite player growing up, this starts a new series on the channel where we go back and look at some of the most underrated stars from the 2010s, and no better place to start than Cardiac Kemba, who led the 2011 UConn Huskies to the NCAA championship game, winning 11 straight elimination games and giving us a couple of iconic step-back game winners. The legend of Cardiac Kemba was born in this March Madness tournament, where he led the underdog UConn Huskies, like I said, to the national championship over Butler. But the thing about Kemba was he was always undersized, standing at just 6 foot, 170 pounds coming out of college, and shooting less than efficient from the field and three. The Hornets / Bobcats at the time still made him the number 9 overall pick in the NBA draft. And in his rookie year, the Hornets were nothing short of flat out horrific. The worst NBA team of all time, winning 7 games. Not a great way to start a career, but Kemba averaged 12 points, 4.4 assists, 3.5 rebounds in 27 minutes as a rookie on, obviously a less than ideal Bobcats team, while shooting 37% from the field, 31% from 3 on 3 attempts. And that was one of the big knocks on Kemba early on. He couldn't shoot. He could get to the rim at will. He's one of the quickest guys in the league, but he could not shoot. He finished 11th in Rookie of the Year voting. So, heading into his second year, obviously you got to work on that jump shot. The Hornets as a team, well, they were still the Bobcats, got a little bit better. They won 14 more games than they did the year prior. Still finished 21-61, and really the only acquisition they made was this guy who looks like he breaks his elbow every time he shoots a basketball. Kemba did take a big leap, though, averaging 17.7 points, 5.7 assists, and 3.5 rebounds in his sophomore year. However, the efficiency was still not very good. He did average 2 steals a game, but the efficiency was not great. But it was a good enough season to get him 11th in the Most Improved Player of the Year award voting. Obviously after this year, the Bobcats started to get good. They bring in Al Jefferson. They start to build a core around Kemba and Al with guys like Gerald Henderson, among others. Obviously, Gerald Henderson, not the ideal third star, but that's how this Hornets team was constructed. You still had MKG and other guys. They finally made the playoffs in 2014. Unfortunately, they ran into this trio in their first playoff run, but Kemba proved he could be a star leading a team, averaging 26, 4, and 2 over the course of that 4-game series, while shooting 47% from the field and 50% from 3 on 6 attempts a game. This was really the first glimpse of how good Kemba really could be, was this series against the best team in the NBA, the team that would go on to win the NBA championship that year. In the playoffs, he averaged close to what he did in the season prior, averaging 17.7 points, 6 assists, and 4 rebounds, while shooting 39% from the field and 33% from 3. The early years in Kemba's career, he was so inefficient. Of course, the Bobcats would go on to get swept 4-0. And then the next season, the Hornets took a bit of a step back with Al Jefferson getting hurt. But 2015-16, with Jefferson, Kemba, they added Nick Batum, Marvin Williams was there, Frank Kaminsky, Courtney Lee. This was low-key not a bad squad, and they won 48 games, the most in 15 years of Charlotte Hornets basketball. 16 years, excuse me. Spencer Hawes was on the team, as was Jeremy Lin and Jeremy Lamb. Interesting squad. Once again, they faced off against the Heat in the first round, this time without LeBron, but they did have D. Wade. They still had Chris Bosh. Goran Dragic was there. Hassan Whiteside, of course, Eric Spoelstra was there. Kemba put up great numbers, 23, 4, and 3, but the efficiency was horrific. In the regular season, he had a much better year. 21 points a game, 5.2 assists, 4.4 rebounds, and 1.6 steals a night, while being somewhat efficient. I believe that's Luol Deng on that team, too. 43% shooting from the field, 37% from 3 on 6 attempts. Kemba had a really good regular season, didn't have the greatest playoff run, but again, the Hornets should have won this series, in my opinion. Game 7 at home, and unfortunately, we got the Hornets version of Spike Lee on the sideline, and D. Wade proceeds to go off. only 3 wins Kemba got in Charlotte in the playoffs. Very unfortunate. With that being said, though, let's make sure to take a break here. Make sure to like button, leave me a comment down below, and hit that subscribe button if you are enjoying today's video at any point. As you can see here, a large majority of the people that watch these videos are not subscribed to the channel, so if that is you, go ahead and fix that. Also, we're trying to hit about 200 likes on today's videos. If you could help us out with that, it'd be greatly appreciated. And with that being said, let's go ahead and get back to the video, looking at the prime years of Kemba Walker. From 2016-17 to 2018-19, Kemba Walker was undoubtedly a top 5 point guard in the NBA, and I think in the 2018-19 season, he was probably number 2. That's in my opinion, of course, a little bit biased, but you see the numbers there, 44% shooting from the field, 38% from 3 on 7 attempts, and he was outstanding in that 2018-19 campaign, almost single-handedly willing the Hornets to the playoffs. Of course, this is a year Tony Parker came to Charlotte for half a year. We had a young Miles Bridges, but he made All-NBA third team that year and was an all-star starter. I think I'd take Kemba that year because Kyrie got hurt, so I'll take Kemba that year over Kyrie. Hot take, y'all can debate me in the comment section below, but we had games like this night in and night out in Kemba Walker. 60 on the 76ers. There was a week in this season where he was averaging like 42 points a game or something crazy like that. He was unstoppable in the pick and roll in Charlotte. I mean, Bismack Biyombo, elite pick and roll center right there. And he's just too quick to handle, getting right to the rim. Is that Tomas Satoransky? I don't even know who that is for the Bulls. And then, hitting knockdown threes, getting coast to coast. Yeah. Prime Kemba was something special, man. But then you get the post-Charlotte days. He gets fed up with losing every year, goes and creates a super team in Boston, really. And the first year was really good. 20.4 points per game, 5 assists, 4 rebounds, 31 minutes per game for Kemba in Boston, returning, kind of close to back home. Not exactly New York, but it's close. 43% from the field, 38% from 3. And then, the Celtics got to the playoffs that year. They made it to the 3rd round in the bubble, where, of course, they lost to the Heat in the Eastern Conference Finals. The first round of the playoffs, Kemba averaged 24, 4, and 4, where they made quick work of the Nets. Then the Sixers, and then they play the Raptors in what was a great 7-game series. That was one of the more fun series in the recent NBA playoffs. Kemba averaged 17, 6, and 4 during that series. Then this series could have gone so much differently, especially if that block, was different. I mean, that's one of the bigger what-ifs. But the Celtics would go on to lose in 6. Kemba averaged 25 and 4 in this series, so he had a good Eastern Conference Finals. But then the knee issues would hit. 2020, 2021 was a throwaway year for the Celtics. They finished 500 and lost in the first round to the Nets, led by KD. Kemba only played in 43 games. It was either one of Tatum or Brown didn't play in that series. I can't remember off the top of my head. But then he would get shipped off to New York, and after 43 games would slowly fade out of the rotation. He had some good games in New York. This one against the Wizards where he dropped 34. Or actually, I think he had 44, excuse me. And then he went on to the Dallas days where he played 9 games. Had one game against the Cavs where he put up 32, 7, and 5, and then a week later he was cut. But yeah. Shout out to Kemba Walker, man. One of the most exciting point guards of the 2010s. Unfortunately, he was just hidden in Charlotte for his whole career, where they were just bad. With that being said, and if you want to see more videos like this of forgotten stars of the 2010s, make sure to hit that like button. We're looking for 200 likes on today's video. Make sure to hit that subscribe button as well. And with all that being said, thank you so much for watching today's video.